Tuote.
Sometimes, the worst horrors aren't in haunted houses, but in our own homes. Today, we're exposing the terrifying secrets lurking behind walls, beneath floors, and in the shadows of homes just like yours. Here, she knocked down a wall in her house and discovered a hidden city. Number 20. Man discovers a hidden city. Imagine you're swinging a sledgehammer, knocking down a wall in your house. It starts off as just another home project. However, then the dust clears, and instead of pipes or bricks, you see a hole. A dark, gaping hole. One man was just going about his home renovation in 2023 when he smashed through a wall and stumbled upon the surprise of a lifetime. At first, he thought it was just an old cellar, maybe even a forgotten storage room. But as he stepped inside, flashlight in hand, the air felt different. The space wasn't just a room, it was a corridor. What was strange was that this corridor was a long one, and it never seemed to end. This guy kept walking. However, the more he walked, the more tunnels and more passageways he came across. It was clear to him this was more than just a hidden basement. Then, suddenly, reality hit him. He had just discovered an entire ancient underground city right beneath his home. Not knowing what else to do, he called in the experts. When the archaeologists arrived, they weren't just impressed, they were shaken. It was later revealed that this was Derinkuyu, a legendary subterranean city in Turkey that historians had speculated about for years. A place so well hidden, people weren't even sure if it really existed until that moment. Now, Derinkuyu was an entire metropolis, dating all the way back to the 7th or 8th century BC. Thousands of people once lived there, with schools, kitchens, wine cellars, and even stables. The craziest part was that it had been sitting under this guy's house the entire time, just waiting to be found. Think finding an ancient city under your house is wild? Well, this next discovery takes hidden spaces to a whole new level. Number 19. Woman uncovers an entire apartment in her bathroom. Okay, so TikTok might not be the world's greatest invention, but every now and then, it delivers something wild. Case in point? A woman who casually found a whole other apartment hiding behind her bathroom mirror and posted everything on TikTok. Meet Samantha Hartso, a regular New Yorker who was just trying to live her best life. Except, back in 2021, her apartment had one tiny issue. It was freezing. No matter how high she turned up the heat, that bone-chilling draft just wouldn't let up. Naturally, she did what any curious individual would do. She channeled her inner Nancy Drew and started investigating. First stop, the bathroom. That's where the cold air was strongest. It was here that she noticed her mirror was loose. Now, at this point, most people would get spooked and walk away. Not Samantha, though. She leaned all the way in and recorded everything for TikTok. Part 1 ended with her poking around, leaving the internet begging for answers. When she finally posted the follow-up, it did not disappoint. Behind that mirror was a straight-up hole in the wall. Beyond that hole, a whole other room. So, naturally, she did the one thing every horror movie has taught us not to do. She climbed through. What did she find? Another entire apartment. Okay, so it wasn't exactly a secret luxury penthouse. It was dark, empty, and full of trash. Still though, imagine living in an apartment for years and not knowing there was a whole other space just lurking behind your bathroom mirror. Just when you thought hidden spaces couldn't get any more bizarre, brace yourself for a tunnel that's been underground for over a century. Number 18. Illinois. Homeowners find a hidden tunnel not seen since 1895. A couple in Illinois was just minding their business when suddenly the sidewalk outside their house started buckling in 2021. At first, they thought it was no big deal. They assumed it was probably just some wear and tear. Of course, they were wrong. Instead of a simple repair job, the couple uncovered a hidden tunnel that hadn't been seen since 1895. What's even weirder is that this tunnel wasn't mentioned anywhere in the house's official documentation. It was as if someone wanted it forgotten. So, being the adventurous types, they decide to explore. And what do they find? A brick archway leading to a big old pile of dirt. Now, what was this thing for? They couldn't tell. However, while poking around in the attic, they stumbled upon an old box hidden under the floorboards. Inside, the couple found $46,000 in cash. The owner suspected it was stashed by a relative. In the end, one thing's for sure, this thing is creepy. And if history has taught us anything, it's that mysterious underground tunnels never mean anything good. Finding a hidden tunnel is one thing, but what if your home's big secret wasn't buried treasure or lost history, just something lifeless? Number 17. A home renovations reveals animal carcasses.
Since the stuff was there before the family bought the policy, so they have to fix the issue and pay for it themselves, costing around $20,000.
A nice, unsuspecting family in Auburn, Pennsylvania, decided to do some home renovations. Just a little insulation project, totally normal, nothing to see here, except there was already something in the walls. Safe to say, it was definitely not insulation. At first, they probably thought it was old newspapers or junk from a past owner. However, soon, they started pulling things out. And that's when it got dark. They found animal carcasses, dozens of them. The walls were stuffed with the remains of dead animals, all wrapped in newspapers from the 30s. Before you start thinking this is some alien act, experts actually had a theory. This was magic. Apparently, back in the day, some people believed sealing dead animals inside walls could cure illnesses. Now, we're not doctors, but something tells us that filling your home with rotting animal remains is not great for your health. Now, while finding dead animals sealed in your walls might leave you questioning your home's history, imagine unearthing something that could rewrite art history altogether. Number 16. Nephew discovers a potential lost Picasso. As Jenny Verastro lay on her deathbed, she gave her nephew, Carl Sabatino, one simple instruction: check under the sewing machine. Now that's the kind of thing you don't just ignore. So Carl, equal parts curious and probably a little freaked out, did exactly what she said. What did he end up finding? A dusty old painting, tucked away like some forgotten relic. Here's where things get really interesting. Carl recognized the artwork. It had been hanging on Jenny's wall when he was a kid. However, as he looked closer, something jumped out at him. A signature. And it wasn't just any ordinary one. It was none other than Picasso's. Yes, the renowned artist Picasso. Turns out, Jenny's late husband had bought the painting in London during World War II. While one New York auction house took one glance and dismissed it as a knockoff, Carl wasn't about to give up that easily. He went deep into the rabbit hole, researching Picasso's techniques from the 1930s Europe. When he sent a tiny paint sample for analysis, the pigments matched the era perfectly. Do you know what's even more unreal? There was even a partial thumbprint on the painting. Now, the art world isn't convinced just yet, but if this thing turns out to be legit, Carl might be sitting on a $13 million masterpiece. As if the unexpected purse wasn't enough of a shock, the Cap Cities couple soon found themselves tangled in a mystery that spanned decades and connected them to a long-forgotten love story. Number 15. A mysterious 54-year-old wedding album. In 2017, Megan and Bobby Capsidis weren't expecting to stumble upon a mystery. They had flown from Sierra Vista, Arizona to Holiday, Florida with one goal: to fix up Bobby's mother's house, which they had bought in 2009. However, what started as a simple renovation quickly turned into an unintentional treasure hunt. You see, Bobby was just minding his own business, tearing down part of the kitchen ceiling, when suddenly, a brownish-red purse made of alligator skin smacked him right in the face. It hit him right in the face, Megan Capsidis later told Today. Now, if a purse comes flying out of your ceiling, you don't just ignore it, you start digging. Soon, that's exactly what the couple did. What they uncovered next was straight out of a time capsule. Hidden away for decades was an approximately 50-page wedding album, perfectly preserved, filled with black and white photos, invitations, and memories of a couple named Marguerite and Joseph Gargillo. The invitation revealed that they had tied the knot in Brooklyn, New York, back in 1963. Of course, a hidden wedding memory in the ceiling was surprising enough. But wait until you see what was lurking under the floor. Spoiler alert, it's game night on a whole new level. Number 14. Giant Monopoly board under the carpet. Let's be honest, Monopoly is the worst. It starts off all fun and games, and then, 6 hours later, you're broke, your best friend is your worst enemy, and someone has flipped the board in a fit of rage. We've all been there. However, one guy in Britain took his love for Monopoly way too far. You see, a couple decided to renovate their home, probably expecting to find nothing more than some outdated carpet and a little dust. Instead, they peeled back the flooring and found a giant Monopoly board. We're talking full-scale, hand-painted Connecticut Avenue and all. Now, their son-in-law was excited about this discovery, and he posted about it on Reddit. Guess what? The picture went viral. Over 119,000 upvotes later, people started uncovering a bizarre piece of design history. Apparently, back in the 50s, it was a thing to paint or tile game boards onto basement floors as a selling point. Some commenters confirmed their own grandparents had shuffleboard floors. It seemed at the time, in 2021, their son-in-law was desperately trying to convince them to seal it with epoxy and work the rest of their flooring around it. Who knows what ended up happening, though? In the end, this is either the coolest home feature ever or the most unhinged. Now, Monopoly may bring out the worst in people, but nothing compares to the eerie feeling of stepping into a house frozen in time. Number 13. Toys and newspapers. From the 50s. Imagine walking into a house where time just stopped. Like someone hit pause on life itself. Dean Slater thought he was just exploring another forgotten house, back in 2020. He'd seen plenty. Dusty old rooms, crumbling walls, the usual. However, nothing prepared him for this. Tucked away in the English countryside, the farmhouse stood frozen in time. The story goes that a brutal family feud tore this home apart, leaving it abandoned for over 50 years. No one returned or packed anything up. In fact, no one even grabbed the newspaper, because yep, there they were, sitting untouched from 1953, yellowed and brittle as if still waiting to be read. That's not even the most eerie part about this, though. In the children's playroom, standing all alone was a rocking horse. Just there, frozen in place, staring into the empty room. The house itself was a time capsule of post-war charm, rose-patterned carpets, floor-length duck-egg blue curtains. However, beneath the nostalgia was something unsettling. The kind of stillness that makes your skin crawl. Built in the 80s by architect Thomas Thornton, it's clear this house wasn't just any old farmhouse. However, the biggest mystery still remains. Why was it left exactly as it was, untouched like its owners had simply walked out one day and never looked back? If you think a rocking horse frozen in time is eerie, wait until you hear about the ancient history lurking behind a kitchen wall. Number 12. Discovering ancient Mayan murals. Back in 2012, a Guatemalan family wanted to switch things up. They were thinking fresh paint, new cabinets, maybe some sleek countertops. Nothing too bold. However, none of them were prepared for what they ended up uncovering. You see, as they chipped away at the old plaster, expecting nothing more than dust and crumbling brick, something unexpected came into view. Paint. Not just any paint. Bold, intricate, centuries-old Mayan murals. Turns out, their home, built in the 1700s, had been keeping a secret this whole time. Beneath the layers of modern renovations were intricate paintings believed to depict the Conquest Dance, a powerful reenactment of the Spanish invasion that forced the Mayan people to convert to Christianity. National Geographic wasted no time getting inside to document the find, kicking off a deep dive into the mural's origins. The Mayan civilization was nothing short of legendary, masters of astronomy, architecture, and innovation. However, so much of their history was erased or destroyed by colonizers, leaving only fragments behind. This discovery was indeed a rare and unexpected window into a world that was almost lost. To think, it was hiding behind someone's stove this whole time. As if uncovering centuries-old Mayan murals wasn't surprising enough, imagine knocking down a wall and having a secret stash of bootleg whiskey come tumbling out. Number 11. 66. Bottles of Prohibition-era whiskey, hidden within a New York home. Nick Drummond and Patrick Backer thought they were signing up for a classic fixer-upper in 2020. You know, outdated plumbing, creaky floorboards, and maybe a few questionable wallpaper choices. What they weren't expecting: to crack open a wall and have bottles of century-old whiskey come pouring out. For years, Nadot Boers had whispered that their charming 1915 home was built by a Prohibition-era bootlegger. It sounded like a fun little small-town ghost story, until the couple started renovations and the past literally started spilling out. It all began when Drummond, a designer and historic preservationist, was removing part of the mudroom's exterior. Suddenly, a tightly wrapped package tumbled out. Inside were bottles of Old Smuggler Gaelic whiskey, a Scottish brand that's still around today. Then, under the floorboards, they found even more carefully bundled bottles. By the time the dust settled, they had uncovered over 66 hidden bottles of contraband liquor. After doing some digging, these guys found out that the home's original owner wasn't just any bootlegger. He was Count Adolf Humpfner, a mysterious German businessman with a reputation for scandal, shady dealings, and apparently a taste for illegal booze. When he passed away suddenly, his wealth became the center of a bitter legal battle, but no one knew that part of his fortune was literally built into the house. Today, those 66 bottles are worth at least $1,000 each, adding up to a casual 66 grand in liquid history. Not bad for a home renovation project, right? Bootleg whiskey hidden in the walls is one thing, but discovering a secret room with nothing but an iron bed is a whole new level of unsettling. Number 10. A single iron bed found in a mysterious room.
Or condensation, or funny enough, actually, there's a ridge tile down.
There's some bonnets, valley tiles I can see.
Yeah.
Stephen and Carolyn Sparks had just purchased a property in Brighton back in 2022 when they made a bone-chilling discovery. During a routine survey with their contractor, they noticed something odd: a hidden door behind a bathroom wall. What was behind it? A secret room containing nothing but a single iron bed, nothing else. The couple was deeply disturbed, and to be honest, it's not hard to see why. If a single iron bed in a hidden room wasn't unsettling enough, imagine moving into your dream home, only to find out you're sharing it with hundreds of uninvited, slithering roommates. Number 9. Snakes-infested house.
Plus home video.
No, they're way active. They're way active because it's fall, I guess.
They're jumping.
That's not to mention the dozens they caught and are...
This house was perfect, or so they thought. A young couple in Idaho had just moved into their dream home in 2011, ready to start their new life. However, within days, their excitement turned to dread. Something was wrong. At first, it was just a strange rustling sound behind the walls. Then came the occasional slithering shadow in the corners of their vision. The couple soon realized their house wasn't just infested, it was overrun. Not with mice or bugs, though. With hundreds of snakes, coiled beneath the floors, packed inside the walls, lurking in the pipes. The dream home they had saved for, planned for, fought for, had become a waking nightmare. Of course, they did what any normal person would do. They fought back. However, they soon began facing their harsh reality. How do you even battle an entire snake army? In one single day, they managed to end the lives of 42 of them. That's not a home, that's a snake extermination facility. To put things into perspective, the couple dined out often, thanks to their well water reeking of the same foul musk snakes used to ward off predators. Here's where it gets even worse. When they bought the place, they actually signed a form acknowledging that there were snakes, but their real estate agent told them it was just some nonsense made up by the previous owners. Except it wasn't. The whole town even had a name for it: the Snake House. It seemed like no matter how hard the couple tried, eventually moving out was inevitable. After 3 months of non-stop reptilian terror, the couple gave up, declared bankruptcy, and walked away. The bank foreclosed on the house, and honestly, the snakes probably still own it. An entire house ruled by snakes is the stuff of nightmares. But what if the biggest mystery in your new home was hidden right beneath your feet? Number 8. This guy found a trapdoor in his new apartment. You know how horror movies always start with someone moving into a creepy old place? Well, that's exactly what happened to this guy when he moved into an apartment in an ancient building in England. It wasn't long before he found a secret trapdoor on the floor, just begging for him to go investigate. Naturally, he freaked out. To be fair, who wouldn't? A hidden doorway that wasn't on the lease? That's definitely not something you want to mess with. Turns out it's not some haunted passage or secret lair. It's just a regular old hatch to the cellar. Yep, a cellar. This is super common in older buildings across the UK, but the guy made a whole spectacle of it. Took photos, posted about it, and for what? So, in case you're ever in the market for an apartment and you spot one of these, calm down, it's just for your wine stash. Number 7. A hidden safe in his grandparents' closet. Some people inherit money. Some people inherit houses. For one Reddit user, childhood bedtime stories about hidden treasures weren't just fiction. They turned out to be real. While cleaning out his late grandparents' farmhouse in rural Tennessee, he stumbled upon a mysterious safe, sealed shut, hidden deep inside a closet. His grandparents had often read the classic adventure tale to him when he was young, but he never imagined their own home might be hiding a secret straight from the pages of the book. Beneath a dusty old rug in the bedroom closet, he noticed a metal disc embedded in the floor. Since no normal person can resist a mysterious metal disc, he did what any of us would, started tinkering with it. Turns out, the disc was the lid to a buried safe. Now, instead of living out his best Hollywood heist moment, he quickly realized he had no idea how to crack it. So he called in a locksmith, who swooped in to save the day and unlocked whatever secrets had been hidden underground for decades. At first, all they found was a pile of bricks, not exactly the gold rush he was hoping for. However, beneath the dust and disappointment, things got interesting. A coin book from 1937, silver and gold coins, solid silver bricks, a set of dueling pistols, and a whole toolbox stuffed with jewelry. Now, not all hidden doors lead to horror. Sometimes, if you're lucky enough, you'll find treasure. Number 6. A secret room and collectible coins.
Be curious, they wanted to see what was on the other side. To their surprise, it turned out to be a hidden room.
Latch is down here.
Moving into a new house is always full of surprises. However, for Levi and Kelsey Gillies and their daughter, their new home in Harrisburg, Virginia, came with something quite unexpected. In 2022, the family found a secret door, disguised as a bookcase, and bolted shut. Obviously, there was no way they weren't opening it. On the other side, they found a hidden room tucked away. Just when they thought it couldn't get any wilder, they noticed something inside the floor, a secret compartment. What did they find inside? A stash of rare, collectible coins. Now here's where most people might have channeled their inner treasure hunter and called it a jackpot. The Gillies, though? They took the high road and returned the box to the previous owners. While a secret room filled with collectible coins might seem like a dream come true, discovering a trapdoor that leads into the unknown, now that's an intriguing mystery. Number 5. Finding a hidden trapdoor.
Holy cow, that goes way down there.
A Michigan man was just going about his day inside an old church when he made a startling discovery in 2024. One moment, he was tearing up the bathroom carpet. The next, he was staring at a hidden trapdoor. Beneath a single loose floor tile, he found a ladder descending into a dark, cobweb-covered room. In a now viral video, he points his camera toward the opening, his voice filled with shock. "Holy cow, that goes way down there," he says, peering into the unknown. Viewers immediately started speculating. Was it a forgotten Prohibition-era hideout? A secret passageway? Frustratingly, the video cut off before revealing what lay at the bottom, leaving everyone desperate for answers. But the mystery doesn't end there, because what's happening next with the church makes things even creepier. A paranormal investigation team is turning the building into a film set for ghost stories, meaning that the trapdoor would likely be opened again soon. Discovering a hidden trapdoor can be exciting. Finding an abandoned doll in a pram, though, that'll have you running for the exit. Number 4. Creepy doll in an abandoned house.
Into the kitchen and dining area. Whoa, look at that. Little baby doll in a pram. That's an old doll.
Nothing screams, "Nope, I'm out of here." Quite like a forgotten house with a doll just casually left behind. Because of course, when people move out, they always take their furniture, their clothes. But mysteriously, the single most terrifying toy in existence? That gets to stay. When an urban explorer came across this abandoned country stone house, he knew he was going to find some eerie things. What he didn't expect to find, though, was a doll kept in a pram, completely abandoned. Once the images of this doll hit the internet, people all around the world were convinced this doll was possessed. If finding a haunted doll wasn't unsettling enough, imagine realizing your entire living room is sitting on top of a medieval time capsule. Number 3. A 33-foot deep hole found beneath their living room. For nearly a quarter of a century, an English couple went about their lives, completely unaware of the medieval secret lurking right under their feet. That is, until the floor of their living room gave way in 2012. Beneath the wooden planks, they found a 33-foot deep medieval well, untouched for centuries. Turns out, their home was literally built over a relic from the Middle Ages. As they replaced the floor joists, they realized something was off about the foundation. So naturally, they called in a local handyman, grabbed some ropes and buckets, and started digging. 3 days later, they had uncovered the entrance to a very deep well, complete with a medieval sword and other artifacts just casually kept there like a buried time capsule. The couple stopped digging at 17 feet, but experts believe the well goes at least 33 feet down. And who knows what else is hiding beneath? They say home is where the heart is, but in this case, it was also where a centuries-old secret was hiding right beneath the floorboards. If you thought a 33-foot deep hole hidden was eerie, wait until you see a hidden cemetery found in the most unexpected place. Number 2. Untouched 19th century cemetery preserved in the basement of a tall building. Now, if you've ever walked into an old building and thought, wow, I bet there are some skeletons under this place, well, sometimes you'd be absolutely right. In New Haven, Connecticut, beneath the Center Church on the Green, lies a perfectly preserved 19th century cemetery. At first glance, that sounds straight out of a ghost story, but honestly, it's more like a built-in crypt, just with a whole lot more tenants. Here's the weird part. Back in the day, when they decided to move the churchyard to Grove Street Cemetery, they only bothered to relocate the headstones. The actual bodies? Oh, they stayed right where they were. Just imagine walking across what looks like an empty lawn, completely unaware that a bunch of 19th century New Haveners are buried deep underneath. Of course, since life loves a good horror movie moment, in 2012, Hurricane Sandy rolled in and dug up a colonial-era skeleton right outside the church. Now, just when you thought things couldn't get any creepier, let's take a step inside a house where the only thing more disturbing than the decor is what's in the jars. Number 1. Dr. Anna's house and surgery. You've probably seen abandoned houses before holding forgotten furniture, dust-covered books, and maybe even a few eerie family portraits. This one, though? It held body parts. Deep in Germany, hidden away in a doctor's decaying house, an urban explorer stumbled upon a nightmare in jars, organs such as lungs, kidneys, and eyeballs, all floating in murky liquid. The house, once a fully functioning doctor's practice, was also a home. The doctor and his wife Anna lived there together. However, when he passed away, the place was simply left to rot. Rumor has it that Anna lived to be 100 and may still be alive today in a care home, while their once grand home sits abandoned, filled with disturbing relics of her husband's work. Why was it never cleared out? Did no one know what was inside? Or, more unsettling, did no one want to deal with it? Whatever the case, the house remains frozen in time, its medical horrors waiting for the next unlucky soul to step inside. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.